What happened? Explain it to me.
Well, met a young lady, and we didn't date very long. We had sexual relations one time. Years passed.
How many years?
16.
16 years passed, and then she pops up in your life again.
Yes.
Did you have doubt before hearing this story?
I can't say right off I had doubt, but at the same time, I was young and I wanted to do the right thing. You see what I'm saying? So she told me I was the father, and I always, we grew up with men in the house, and so we was one of the few kids in the neighborhood that grew up with men in the house, and it was like, okay, you the dad, okay, so I think I need to do the right thing. I just didn't come off and reject the fact that she said I was the father. And then, so I wasn't thinking about it, and plus I was a college student. The only time I was coming home was on the weekends and holidays, and the baby was, the little girl, she was growing up calling me dad and running to me, and it was just like this was my child.
And I talked to my dad about it, and my dad pulls up. He's a straight talking fella. And he says, "No use crying now. You did it." I said, "Pop, I had a condom on." He said, "Every time?" I said, "We only had sex once."
Once.
He said, "It didn't bust?" I said, "No, sir." And my dad looked me square in my eye. He said, "That ain't your baby."
I get a phone call. It's my sister, LaToya Knox. It was my sister. She called me. She goes on to these websites. You can go on like ShelbyCountyJail.com, I think. And she just put in, I guess, everybody's information that she knew. She put in my information, Shelton Knox. It popped up as I had a warrant out for my arrest. So she called and told me this information. I'm like, I'm disturbed. Like, what do I got a warrant out for my arrest for? I haven't been in any trouble. My dad just asked the question. He said, "Well, how much is it for a blood test?" And she said $135. The lady replied $135. And my dad was like, well, shit, give them 2 of them.
You're in college, you stop seeing her, she comes up, says she's pregnant, you're the daddy.
Right. I say, are you out your mind? Why are you coming to me with this? All these other guys that I heard, and I'm pretty sure that you slept with, what makes you think that you're going to come to me, put it on me? I can't believe this is happening to me. It's like, it's surreal.
Right, you're on this path, and all of a sudden,
I get skewed over here with this mess. There was even a point at which she sought revenge. She cut my ties.
What?
Yeah, she cut my ties.
She accused you of being her baby's father.
Right, and then
she
cut my ties. So she was really taking me down through that.
You had a winner, man.
Yeah, I know how to pick them, don't I? I think it took almost 6 weeks to 2 months for the results to come back. But the bad part about it is the child didn't make it.
This is when it gets crazy. We take the test and they tell us, okay, in 6 weeks, come back and we'll read the results. In that 6-week period, I get a call maybe 3 weeks in, and her mom tells me that her daughter has died.
What?
The girl I dated, she died in a car wreck.
How long did it take for you to get the results?
When she turned 3. Yeah,
it took 3 years to get the results?
Her mother, she was lacking. She didn't make it to one of the hearings where she was supposed to get her mouth swabbed. A couple of days after her birthday, I received the letter.
Her 3rd birthday?
Yes, sir.
What did he tell you?
That I wasn't the father.
How did it make you feel? What was your reaction?
I was hurt, mad, feel like doing some things to her, but at the same time I knew that it was a possibility that the baby could not be mine. So I think it took me like a week to just process everything. And after that, I still, I wanted to see the little girl, because by that time I had got her name tattooed on me. That's a name right there.
Anaya?
And I grown attached to her, and I love her just like she's mine. I have another daughter, and I love her just like my other daughters.
Do you think you'll be in her life forever?
Yes, sir.
I felt that if he was actually my son, that that I'd been left out of a situation that I should have been included in. Yeah. So in that respect, when I was thinking about, is he actually my son, I was thinking about all these years that we haven't known each other. You know, I felt robbed. Of course, afterwards, when I found that he wasn't my son, you know, I worried about, you know, what would be next for him and what, you know, what her next step would be.
From my experiences in life, you know, I felt that, you know, I just had it down packed. You know, I was the one that can give some of my friends some advice on how to deal with situations with young ladies and stuff, and it happened to me. So I'm like, man, so I was upset. I was very upset. I walked out the courtroom, and I walked out the courtroom, and I was walking across the street, and she called my name, and she apologized to me, and I didn't say a word to her. I just looked at her, and I looked at the baby, and the baby wanted to come to my arms. But, you know, I turned around, and I walked back to my car, and the baby screamed like I'd never heard her scream before in my life.
We all make mistakes, and what we hope people will get from this, especially women who are falsely accusing men, to stop doing it. Because in the end, it's the child who really is affected by it.
It's the child who loses out in almost all those situations.
There is an assumption that if you sit on your rights, then you lose them. So if the father, you know, knows that this child is here and that someone says it's yours, or, you know, the child's been coming to your house and you know your name's on the birth certificate, you know, obviously when you sit on those rights, you lose them.
My story and 4 more stories are in I Am Not the Father, narratives of men falsely accused of paternity.
If you didn't tell your story, these other guys wouldn't have came forward. You wouldn't have known. Tennessee, Memphis, the world would have known that so many men go through this, have gone through this, and continue to go through this. And hopefully, this will shed a light to some women